What if the love you crave most is the one your body learned to fear? Your love language might be your deepest survival strategy. Let's decode it.
Hey there, and welcome to Beyond Survival, a Pathway to Peace. I'm your host, Naomi Stanchfield. If you're living with the effects of trauma or PTSD, you're in the right place. I know what it's like to live in survival mode, always waiting for the next shoe to drop. For years, I searched for peace, for a way to feel safe in my own body again. That search became the foundation of the work I do today as a trauma-informed coach. This podcast is here to support you as you begin your own journey towards a calmer, more peaceful life. Each week, we'll explore real tools, heartfelt conversations, and simple practices to help you heal, one step at a time. You don't have to walk this path alone. Let's take it together.
Welcome back to our 6-week series into relationships, love, and connection. If you've ever thought, why do I keep asking for love and still feel unseen? Today we are talking about the 5 love languages. Love languages are popular tools for communication, particularly communication in relationships, be it romantic or otherwise. But when we look through a trauma-informed lens, they often reflect our deepest wounds and survival strategies. Last week we talked about the 4 attachment styles. If you didn't listen to that episode, I would suggest going back to listen to it before continuing this episode. It sets a foundation for why we may favor certain love languages over others. I'll give a short recap here, and if you want a full deep dive, go back to last week's episode. Secure attachment. These individuals feel comfortable with intimacy and autonomy, viewing themselves and their partners as reliable and worthy of love. Anxious, preoccupied attachment. Driven by fear of abandonment, these individuals often seek high levels of intimacy and constant reassurance to soothe relationship insecurities. Dismissive, avoidant attachment. These individuals prioritize self-reliance and emotional distance, often withdrawing when they feel their independence is being threatened by closeness. And fearful, avoidant, or disorganized attachment. Stemming from unresolved trauma, these individuals desire connection but struggle with a deep-seated distrust of others, leading to a push-pull dynamic in relationships. So as you listen, you might notice yourself in one of these patterns, clinging, pulling away, or doing both at the same time. In last week's episode, we also discussed that how we were raised and the trauma that we've been through form our attachment styles. The same can be true for our love languages. Trauma often makes our primary love language a coping mechanism for past neglect or abuse. The goal is to recognize what happened to you and to remember that none of this means there's anything wrong with you. We are going to focus on relearning how to give and receive love safely through our bodies and our thoughts. There are 5 love languages. They are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and receiving gifts. Most people have one primary love language that resonates most deeply, and a secondary language that is also significant. But it is possible for someone to value and respond to all of them equally. Let's discuss what these love languages look like and how trauma may have affected or amplified these love languages for you. Words of affirmation. These are verbal appreciation, compliments, and written notes. If you grew up with criticism or conditional love, meaning I love you only if, you may crave excessive validation to feel safe. Or conversely, you may distrust compliments, seeing them as manipulation before the other shoe drops. Quality time. This is undivided attention, deep conversation, and shared activities. If you were ignored or experienced chaotic presence, meaning your parents were present but emotionally absent, you might struggle with feeling lonely, even when in a room with a partner. Avoidance might find this suffocating. Acts of service. These are actions that ease burdens like chores or any kind of help. Frequently linked to parentification, which is when a child is forced to act like an adult. You may believe you are only lovable if you are helpful, leading to burnout and resentment. Physical touch. This is hugs, holding hands, and sexual intimacy. If trauma was physical or sexual, touch can trigger fight, flight, or freeze. Alternatively, you may have an extreme, desperate need for touch to regulate your nervous system. And last, receiving gifts. These are thoughtful tokens of affection. If gifts were used as apology band-aids to make up for abuse or neglect, you may struggle to trust the sincerity of this gesture, wondering what did they do wrong? Just like attachment styles, your love languages develop in childhood based on your met and unmet needs. As an example, if a child had to take care of themselves, they become an adult who thrives on acts of service because they learned to never rely on others. So let's talk about how attachment styles can affect or influence our preferred love language. With secure attachment, these individuals are flexible and comfortable with all 5 love languages, often using words of affirmation and quality time to maintain a healthy balance of intimacy and independence. Anxious attachment. Driven by fear of abandonment, these individuals often crave words of affirmation and physical touch as lifelines for constant reassurance and validation of their partner's commitment. Avoidant attachment. To maintain self reliance and avoid emotional vulnerability, these individuals typically prefer acts of service and receiving gifts, which allow them to express care through practical, less emotionally intense means. And then there's fearful avoidant or disorganized attachment. Because of past trauma, their preferred love languages can shift unpredictably, alternating between a deep desire for closeness and a sudden withdrawal from the very intimacy they crave. Now that we've looked at the why behind our attachment styles and love languages, let's talk about the magic that happens when we actually get it right. Why do we care so much about these 5 love languages? Because at the core, love languages are about the human need to be fully seen. When someone speaks your primary love language, it does more than make you feel good. It sends a signal to your nervous system that you are safe and significant. Think about a time someone really hit the mark for you. Maybe they gave you their undivided attention, which would be quality time, or offered a gentle hand on your back, which would be physical touch, exactly when you felt overwhelmed. In that moment, notice the somatic shift. Your shoulders drop away from your ears, your breath deepens. That bracing we carry in our bodies, the feeling that we have to do it all alone or protect ourselves, suddenly softens. From a somatic perspective, being spoken to in your love language is like a ventral vagal hug. It's an anchor that brings you back from a state of fight or flight and into a state of social connection. For those of us with trauma, our internal dialogue or CBT script often tells us, I'm too much, my needs are a burden, or no one will ever truly understand me. When a partner consistently speaks your language, it acts as cognitive reframing in real time. It provides undeniable evidence that contradicts your old wounds. If your script says, I'm invisible, but your partner constantly uses words of affirmation to highlight your strengths, they are helping you literally rewire your brain. You start to replace the thought, I am invisible, with the evidence based belief, I am worthy of being known. Being seen through a love language isn't about the gift or the chore itself. It's about attunement. It's the realization that someone has studied you. They've learned the frequency you tune into, and they've made an effort to broadcast on that channel. In a world that can feel chaotic or dismissive, a love language is a personalized way of saying, I see you, I know what makes your heart feel safe, and I am choosing to meet you there. Now that we've talked about how love languages help us feel seen, let's get real for a second. Love languages can have a shadow side as well. In a trauma informed space, we have to look at when these tools stop being bridges and start becoming shields or even weapons. Love languages are a helpful framework for many people, but they're not a diagnosis or a destiny. They're just one map among many. First, let's talk about the crutch. This is when we use our love language as a fixed identity to avoid the discomfort of change. You might hear yourself saying, well, I'm an acts of service kind of person, so I just don't do words of affirmation. If you notice yourself doing this, it doesn't mean that you're selfish or broken. It means that your nervous system is trying to stay in what feels familiar. From a CBT perspective, that's a cognitive distortion. You're labeling yourself in a way that limits your ability to grow. When you use your love language as a crutch, you're essentially telling your partner, I will only receive love on my terms, and I won't stretch to meet you on yours. Secure attachment requires attunement, the ability to pivot and meet your partner where they are, even if it feels foreign to you. Then there's the weapon. This is when we use our love languages to scorekeep or shame our partners. If you've experienced trauma, your brain might be wired for hypervigilance, constantly looking for signs that you aren't safe and aren't loved. You might start saying, if you really loved me, you would have bought me a gift. You're failing my love language. If you've done this, you were likely trying to protect yourself from feeling unloved. Take a moment right now. If you've ever said or had this said to you or done this, notice what happens in your body. Does your chest tighten? Do you feel a bracing in your shoulders? That is a threat response. When we weaponize these languages, we turn a gift into a debt. We move from connection to coercion. If you're using your love language to test your partner, you aren't actually seeking love. You're seeking reassurance for a nervous system that feels unsafe. So here is your takeaway for this week. A love language is a map, not a mandate. It's a way to show your partner the path to your heart, but you can't force them to walk it at gunpoint. Healthy, secure love says, this is how I feel most loved, but I also see the effort you are making in your own way. We've identified our languages, and we've looked at our attachment styles. Now let's get practical. How do we use somatic therapy to calm our bodies and CBT to rewire our minds for each of the 5 love languages? Whether you crave these or you find yourself running from them, here is your toolkit. Now, as a quick reminder, if anything we've touched on is stirring things up, take a moment to look around. Feel where you're sitting and remind your body that you are here in this moment, listening, and you are safe enough right now. Now for your toolkit. Words of affirmation, silencing the inner critic. The somatic tool is the vocal hum. If your heart races when you don't get verbal reassurance, your nervous system is in alarm mode. Try a low, vibrating hum for 30 seconds. Hmm. This stimulates the vagus nerve, signaling your body that you are safe even in the silence. And the CBT reframe? When the thoughts arise, they didn't say I looked nice, so they must be losing interest. Catch this all or nothing thinking and reframe it. One missed compliment is not a lack of commitment. I am worthy of love regardless of today's word count. Maybe your partner forgets to say thank you after you've had a long day with the kids and your chest tightens. That's a cue to try your vocal hum and then gently notice the thoughts that show up. Next, acts of service, releasing the debt anxiety. The somatic tool is grounding feet. If someone doing a chore for you makes you feel trapped or indebted, Push your feet firmly into the floor. Feel the floor's resistance. This reminds your brain, I am a solid, independent adult. Someone helping me does not take away my power. The CBT reframe, challenge the transactional belief. Instead of now I owe them, try this is a gift, not a loan. I am allowed to be cared for without a price tag. Next is receiving gifts, softening the shield. The somatic tool is hand on belly. If receiving a gift makes your stomach knot up, place a hand on your belly. Breathe deeply into your palm. This softens the bracing response that many trauma survivors have towards unexpected surprises. And the CBT reframe, if you think they're just trying to buy my forgiveness, look for evidence of their consistency. Ask this, is this a gift of manipulation or is it a symbol of their presence? And shift to, I am worthy of being thought of. Next, quality time, taming the fear of engulfment. The somatic tool is orienting. If intense one-on-one time feels suffocating, look around the room and name 3 exits or windows. Knowing the way out helps your avoidant nervous system stay in the moment without feeling trapped. And the CBT reframe, for the anxious listener who fears the end of the time together, think, this moment is ending, but the connection remains. And for the avoidant, think, connection is a choice and I can choose to take a break whenever I need one. And last, physical touch, navigating the freeze response. The somatic tool is the titrated touch. If a hug feels like too much, try a high five or a brief touch on the arm first. This is called titration, introducing a sensation in tiny, manageable doses so your body learns that touch can be safe. And the CBT reframe. If your brain screams danger during safe touch, talk back to it. My body is remembering the past, but my eyes see a safe person in the present. I am in control of this touch. Remember, these tools aren't about being perfect. They're about giving yourself a choice. You aren't just a type. You are a person learning to speak the language of safety. As we close out today's episode, remember that your love language is not a static label or a demand for your partner to fix your past. It is a map toward your healing. Whether you are navigating the alarm of an anxious heart or the walls of an avoidant one, you now have the tools to choose a different path. Try using an orienting exercise when you feel overwhelmed, or challenge a core belief the next time you feel a threat response in your body. Healing happens in these micro moments where we trade transactions for attunement and scorecards for safety. You are not broken for having these needs. You are simply learning to speak the language of secure connection for the very first time. And remember, you are worthy of love simply because you exist, not because of what you do or how well you manage your emotions.
Thank you so much for joining me today on Beyond Survival, A Pathway to Peace. I'm so grateful to walk alongside you on this journey. Remember, healing isn't about perfection. It's about returning to yourself one small step at a time. Every time you show up for yourself like this, you're building something beautiful, a life beyond trauma. Healing is a journey, and every step, no matter how small, is meaningful. Be gentle with yourself along the way, and remember, you don't have to do it alone. If you're finding things especially hard right now, please don't hesitate to reach out for professional support. You don't have to do this alone. Help is out there and healing is possible. If this episode resonated with you, feel free to share it with someone on their own path. Also, if you found value in today's episode, I invite you to connect with me on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at Beyond Survival Pathway. There, you'll find more insights, encouragement, and community support. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast so you'll be with us for the next part of the journey. And consider joining our Facebook book club, Beyond Survival, Healing Through Stories. It's a welcoming place to explore transformation through shared stories and connect with others on the path to healing. Until next time, keep putting one foot in front of the other. You're not walking alone, and the path to peace is unfolding with every step. Let's keep walking this journey together. Take care, and I'll meet you back here soon.